is back, everybody. We'll just go ahead and pause this and get rid of this. Danny is back to talk some off-road, buddy. Nothing?
I lost audio. Can you
I
hear me,
had to.
Dave?
Yeah, I hear you. You not hear me?
Oh man! In a classic fashion.
Yep.
Why did my audio die?
Classic fashion. Here, you're muted. There you go. Can you hear me now?
I got no audio.
Good thing this is show one.
Let's see if it's on my end.
Good thing this is show one.
All my settings are the same. You did something, Dave. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Dave. That's the problem.
Well, we could do a show without hearing. It'll be great. What's amazing? Literally 5 seconds ago, Danny could hear me, and now he can't hear me. So we'll figure these problems out. Danny was about 10 minutes of setting his gear up. So
can hear me. You can hear me, correct, Dave?
Yep. Oh man.
You want me to pop out and try to come back in?
Sure. Give us just a second, man. Oh man, we'll get this thing right. Danny's not a technical wizard there. So what is going on, everybody? This is East Meets West podcast, and we're going to talk off-road. And I think the idea behind this is I'm on the East Coast, Danny's the West Coast, and we both have different ideas for off-roading. And I think over the next however long this lasts, we'll figure it out. And hopefully Danny comes back, because I need to there. Let's see. There's Dan. Let's see. Did he get it?
I can hear you.
Me? All right. We're good. Danny can hear me.
All right. Let me see if I can make my camera not super wide angle so you can see my junk while I'm just sitting here.
Well, people
ultra wide. There
we
go.
There he is.
Hey.
It's Danny finally. Seriously, I watched some of the early podcasts that me and you used to do, and I'm talking those were like in 18, 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it was every show. It was like something's gonna go on. I used to do the show where I was holding the phone up because early on I had no clue what I was doing, and I would just talk because we were recording an audio show, and YouTube was just sort of a whatever. But people are starting to jump in here, guys. If you're new to this, me and Danny, we just F around, we have fun, we talk off-roading. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about where we came from, what led us to this point in our life, because this channel if you're watching on right now, this was the Nissan Nation podcast at one point. Started it in 2015, me and Danny did, and Danny, we filmed the first video that we filmed was us at the California Speedway, which is no longer, my understanding, standing.
I think I haven't been out that way. I mean, they changed the name of it. I think it's still there.
I thought they tore it down, or they were tearing it down.
It may be closed. I don't know if it's torn down yet, though.
But you had your buddy come out and video us, and we thought we were cool and got to see all these cool Nissans. But over the years, me and Danny's had a bunch of adventures together. Danny used to come out for my off-road event here on the East Coast and hang out with the rednecks, which was probably quite different than the rednecks he has in his neck of the woods. Then we used to get a little bit of the Yankee rednecks too,
Yeah.
The Ryan Millers and all those people would come in.
We've seen the gamut of personalities.
And somehow we've survived, man. But Danny, cheers, buddy.
Cheers, brother. What you drinking tonight, Dave?
I think the last time we did this was 3 years ago on a show of our own, but I'm drinking Russell's 10-year tonight.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, I'm pinky up, man. Pinky up.
I switched over to a scotch for this evening. Some Glen Elgin 12-year. A little something I picked up in Scotland while I was in Scotland.
Well, why don't we just name drop here all of a sudden? Jeez.
When I was in Edinburgh.
So how'd that go, man?
I like Scotland a lot. I saw one of them long-haired cows, one of them hippie cows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I drank a lot of scotch, and I saw 1.5 or 0.9 castles per day over like a 2.5 week period. So can't really go wrong there.
No, I see a castle a day here. We have a castle here.
Oh, I mean,
It,
like
it was
0.9 different castles per day, not just
hey
the
man,
same castle.
I just go with what I got, man. I just got to go with what I got. But if you guys don't know, I mean, you know me, but Danny might have been in my while since you've seen Danny. But Danny, you were an off-road racer. You rock crawler. You're a guy that take a rental F-150 out through Moab and just beat the piss out of it. And I think you had insurance, so I think you were safe on that. But
yeah, I paid the extra for that insurance.
Yeah. Danny will run over an elderly person in a heartbeat if he gets a chance with an Xterra. Danny,
did I do that, Dave?
Well, you did hit that lady in that Cadillac in your Xterra.
Oh, yeah, I did. Got me. I can't deny that one.
I know Danny better than Danny knows Danny.
Shoot, I forgot about that one. And now it's a race truck. You know what? Coming up, turns out it's really good to run over old people with your truck. Who knew?
Yeah, who knew? Who thought that would be something? But over the next, when you watch us do these things, we'll definitely have some stuff on deck that we want to talk about. But tonight it was just I think I texted you last week and said, Danny, we got to do this again. And you were like, I've been thinking the same thing. We got to do this again. So, but we'll bring in people that we know over the coming podcasts. And, we have a lot of stories to tell. And, just don't watch the old podcast.
And a lot of opinions to share on whatever we feel like sharing.
That's right, man. And Danny, we both came from the Nissan world. That's how we got to know each other. But we seem to be Ford buddies all of a sudden. Now, of course, you were always a Ford Ranger guy.
That's where I started. Yeah, I started as a Ranger guy way when I first started driving, basically. I mean, I started in a '73 Ford van with a back seat.
I don't want to know how your parents made you. Okay, that's a different show.
I almost made some kids in that thing. No. Yeah, and then I had a few Rangers, and then the Rangers kind of went belly up for quite a while there, and that's how I got the Nissan deal thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now I'm back in a Ford F-150. I love the thing. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I've had like 5 Fords since I think the last time we've talked.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you've probably surpassed me now on number of vehicles you've owned by ways.
Yeah, that's the auto game is you got to buy new vehicles all the time. And I let's kick this off with this.
Yes.
And we'll get into history a little bit later. But Danny, I had the new Ranger Raptor, and we talked on the phone last fall, and I was telling you all about it, and I was like, this truck is built for Danny. It can be a rock crawler here. You could go do the windrock things here in East Tennessee, but ideally that truck is for the dunes, for Johnson Valley. And Danny, I got to do Johnson Valley in the F-150 Raptor R last year, and that was a blast. But since I've got you now, what is your opinion of the new Ford, for one, the Ranger in general, as an off-road platform, but the Raptor?
I mean, I think it's like I've experienced a few of them now out at in Johnson Valley. I go out to King of the Hammers every year, and I mean, the standard Raptor, right? The OG Raptor. Well, I say the OG Raptor, the new Raptors. One of my really good buddies that I go out there with, he has I think it's a 2023 or 24 or something like that. It's not like built crazy. It's got 35s, and he has what's called E-Click, which is basically that adaptive suspension that they have in there already built, but it's like programming and valving to make it perform like twice as good, basically.
Right.
And I swear to you, over some like really good stuff that's not extreme, he's as fast or faster than my race truck. Over like big whoop sections, and mind you, my race truck, the shocks need some tuning. I'm sure it would be faster, but I mean, that thing has way more power than my race truck does. But over like extreme terrain, and like I'm talking jumping over whoops and just blasting across the desert, you can hit so much. I mean, the first time I rode with him, I was butt clenching because I didn't think the truck was going to handle it.
Yeah.
So from the Raptor perspective, like they just took that and put it in a lighter package. And they're so good. They're so good. Like off the shelf, a vehicle like that off the shelf, it's kind of mind blowing that I mean, it's so American. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get this off the shelf like vehicle that you can go out and just rip and beat it up, and and like you just show it off, and then people think you have like at least 9 inches. You know what I'm saying?
I don't get that a lot. So,
I mean, but when you drove the Raptor afterwards, they're like, that
I
guy's
felt
got to
like I
have
did.
9 inches.
I felt like I did. That's for sure. I felt like I
Yeah,
had
but
9
that's what I'm
inches.
saying. It's like it gives this aura of 9 inches. I mean, you may be packing 5, 6, but when you get out of that, you feel like you have 9. And you know, it's
Yeah,
all, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And if it looks like 9, and if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's 9.
that's right.
That's how I
That's right.
roll.
That's right. That's right. No, but I was very impressed with the Ranger Raptor, man. I was like you were saying, it's from the factory, is just ready to rock and roll, man. Now, the Ranger Raptor, smaller version of F-150 Raptor, but just as powerful, 405 horsepower in the thing, all the torque you'd ever want. And now Ford has a tune for it where you can jump it up to 450 horsepower and over 550 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. Now,
Wow.
I have
Yeah.
that tune in my Bronco Raptor, which we'll get into. But that tune, I wanted so bad before I had to sell that truck to put that tune in that truck, because almost 500 horsepower in a mid-sized truck just sounds ridiculous, man.
Yeah, totally agree. And to have it, like the lighter package, I mean, when you get lighter, you do, it's just a lot more a lot less to manage in the dirt when
Yeah.
you're hitting whoops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's, dude, if I didn't have a trailer, I would have a Ranger Raptor. I mean, I'm a mini truck guy. Well, not
Mhm.
the old school like dropped mini trucks, but I'm a smaller truck guy, and I love the mobility and the lightness of them. You know, they just don't. You know, the bigger the truck you get, the more you have to put into the suspension. The bouncier it is, the more flex it has, etc. And so, you have that desert, where you can have speed and all that, and you put it into a lighter platform. It just they just burn. And yeah, like you were saying, the amount of horsepower they have. I mean, it's got more horsepower than you know what to do with, than you can probably handle out there.
Yeah.
You could quarter throttle that thing through most of the stuff you're cruising through. Not that you will, of course, you have to plan it at every second you can, but
Yeah, so this is what I had. I'm in Michigan right here. I'm at the dunes in Michigan. And when you drive, like, I experienced the truck, and at first I kind of got bored with it real quick, because just driving it drives so well.
yeah,
It's not like the old off-road, you get something specific for off-road where it was going to beat the
right,
piss out of you on the road. This thing drives well on road, and it kind of lulls you into like well, this isn't that special. But I took it out on the back roads, and I think I told you this when we talked a while back. I took it out on the back roads here where I knew not a lot of traffic was, and just ripped it, man. And was like, okay, yeah, this I love this thing. But then experiencing it in dune territory, you're like, this
oh
is where this truck wants to be. It wants to be right here. Now, you front rear lockers, like I said earlier, it could do rock crawling things, but it's not a rock crawler. Its profession is fast, straight.
yeah.
Let's go.
Well, and in dunes as well, that power comes in. I mean, that power is so important in dunes specifically.
Mhm.
With that terrain, having that power at your fingertips makes all the difference. I've driven in a lot of dunes, and having a good stout motor with good power and torque. I mean, you just keep the rev up in it, and that thing will just scream everywhere. Out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You're not worried about it really bogging. It's gonna go.
Yeah. The only problem I did have was without using any of the modes,
Hmm.
some of it was, too many nanny features, too many computer control, doesn't want you to, rev the engine, and that's the only bummer I had about it. But I will say, once you turn off, traction control and all that, and I mean truly turn it off, hang on, man. It's so much fun, and that's where that truck, like I said, operates well. But even the modes, you put it in like a sand mode or whatever, it knows what to do. I'm very impressed with all these computer control features now. I'm old school. You're a fairly old school guy. I don't want these features, but when you start using them, you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. I don't really have to do much work. The truck does it, and
Yeah. When they're done right, they're fantastic. But like for example, when you say computer controls, for example, I was driving this weekend. My wife has a Jeep Grand Cherokee, whatever it is. It's like a 2024, and it had adaptive cruise or whatever, and it went to go. It like I was in traffic in LA,
mhm.
and it braked super hard for a car that was slowing down.
Yeah.
But it was it's anti-collision or whatever. And I hit the brake to turn that off because it didn't need to brake that hard. I was worried about getting rear-ended because it was braking so hard.
Oh yeah.
So I went to hit it to turn it off, and it didn't turn off. It just kept braking for the anti-collision thing because I wanted to brake just a little bit slower so I didn't get rear-ended. And it didn't care. It didn't turn it off, and like almost got rear-ended because of it, because I was stopping way quicker than needed to be. And it's just one of those things. It's like there's really good technology and it helps, but certain things aren't quite there yet.
Yeah, I've had it.
And it
I've
depends
had it
between
where
manufacturers.
I've had that where a car pulls out in front of you when you've got the adaptive cruise control, and it's like, whoa, you're about to die. It's like, hey man, I know what I'm doing. We're good here. But the Raptor, I mean, would that truck interest you as a daily?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's got like, I mean, you could probably get decent gas mileage out of it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, when I picked it up in Michigan, I got 20s, early 20s going to Tennessee.
I would absolutely daily that truck. I mean, I'd put it on. It comes on 33s. I'd put it on 35s.
I will say that's the one thing about it. And then with the steps on the side, the way they've dropped them down, it looks too low.
Yeah,
it needs 35s, but Ford didn't want to do it. When I was at the press launch for this, they said no, we don't want to do that because we want the travel. We're more worried about travel than it is.
And I get that. Yeah. I mean, you'll give up some of that, but I mean, it's a good, just all around truck that you can. I mean, I drove one once for a very short period of time. A buddy of mine had one out at King of the Hammers. I drove one once, very short. I took it for a loop, got into it a little bit, and gave it back. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I didn't really get like a lot of seat time.
Mm-hmm.
I looked all over it and stuff, but it's like it seemed pretty comfy. But like I said, I didn't get a ton of time in it, but it seems like it was something that would be comfy, like right up my alley though, as far as, a nice up-to-date state-of-the-art truck that you can just go and bang on and then, drive it to work and back every day.
Oh yeah, 100%. And speaking of driving every day, man, there is a special guest. I don't think Danny can see him in the studio here. They got to bring up. He's a guy that he's a wise person, Danny. He used to give all kinds of advice on Instagram. He had a catchphrase of "Hey y'all."
Oh, are we talking Jim? Are we talking Jim Bob?
We are talking Jim Bob.
Oh boy!
What up, Danny?
Oh my goodness, I love you, Jim Bob. Oh, man, I'm sorry, Big Daddy now.
Big Daddy,
very Big Daddy.
He done graduated since we started this way back in the day.
Yeah. Jim Bob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're doing good, man. Jim Bob, Danny was very excited for these to come back.
Yes, I was.
And hopefully,
Dave, like, what time is this happening? Where's the link? Shoot me the link. I was logged on. He said 8 o'clock. I was like, all right, I'm going to get logged on at 5 and just sit here all day and wait.
Oh, man. But Jim Bob, so everybody that knows Jim Bob or Nick, or Big Daddy now, I guess we should call you. But I got to know Jim Bob through the internet. Like I was following your Instagram, dude. Your Instagram used to crack me up. I shared it with Danny. And then I told Danny, me and Danny went on a press trip. And the Titan was coming up, which you have really, I know you ended up buying one, but I don't think you had interest. I said, hey, I can get you on this trip. Just tell them you're interested in buying a Titan. And we got Jim Bob on this trip. And thank God, because you kept Danny at bay. I had just had shoulder surgery. I didn't get to be as fun as I wanted to be, but you helped me balance Danny out a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do. Being a father of a 2.5-year-old. I learned, Danny's like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I'm more mature. Thank you.
More mature and can speak and tell me his feelings, but still just wild and rambunctious.
Hey, I'm not gonna. I want to come clean about something, Jim Bob, Big Daddy. I only remember you as Jim Bob, and I had actually forgot your first name until Dave just said it.
It's all good. It happens.
I mean, you just like you're Jim Bobbing my phone. Like that's who you are, you know.
Well, I'm still like Nick, Nashville, Nissan Frontier, and a lot of other people's phones. So it's all right.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, we had a lot of fun out in where was it? Utah. Was it
Salt Lake?
Park City, right?
Yeah, which is weird because I'm sure you guys don't watch this, but my wife watches the whatever, not Orange County, Women of Utah, whatever show, and they're at that resort all the time, and I'm always like,
really?
I know that spot.
Oh, that's awesome. And on top of it, every time I drink High West whiskey, I think about the good times I had with you boys.
Yeah, we had a good
time. Fly fishing, shooting skeet. Dave's over there with his bum shoulder trying to shoot skeet, and we're like, Dave, just go sit down.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Just go sit down, Dave. Yeah. You're like, I got this.
Go enjoy the bar that never ends.
Yeah. And we killed Nissan's bar tab on that event.
Yeah,
And remember talking to Wendy, we were like, hey, Wendy, they said we're shut off. And she's like, oh no, it's like I miss Wendy as far as the off-road stuff. Wendy Orthman, who's now with Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
She was awesome because she would just have fun with you. She was there to like sell the brand, but she wanted to make sure everybody had fun. And she was such a wasted talent for the Nissan brand. And
she was on board with the Dave and Danny show.
100%.
That was one of the reasons why we loved her. But like, I mean, we had the hot tub with the action suit in it. We had, man, I love meeting old friends that like we've shared some stuff together, and like all of a sudden I get all these memories of all the freaking man. There was so much singing at the what was the song we sang at that last?
The Garth Brooks song.
Oh,
low places.
Yeah, low places. We're all just like 3 sheets of the wind, smoked out on friggin' High West whiskey, because that was the distillery on that resort, right? It was High West.
Yeah,
and they were just pouring it, and we were just taking it to the skull. Yeah,
to this day, I still get comments of people that we didn't know at the time, but I've gotten to know since then that were there. And they still comment about like, thank you guys for being fun. Like, because a lot of these press trips I go on to now, because I've gotten deeper into this, they're so boring, man. Like and it's a job to a lot of people, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm going to cut loose a little bit, man.
Yeah, no, I mean that, like, you could tell right away that like, if we didn't bring the fun, it wasn't really going to happen.
Right.
I mean, it might've happened a little bit. There might've been some fun, but not to the level that we needed it to be at in order for us to be our true selves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You probably sold like 1 or 2 Titans that weekend.
What's that?
I said you might have sold 1 or 2 Titans that weekend.
I might have. I don't know.
Don't care.
I wonder where all those people are now, what they're driving.
Well, so of course, I don't think Jim Bob's on Facebook, but yeah, so yeah, I've kept up with quite a few of those. On that first one, we did lose Cherokee Titan's husband. We lost him in a car accident. But yeah, I've kept up with a lot of these people, and some of them still are in their Titans, man. Still love them to death.
Yeah. There's still been some. I still follow a bunch of them on Instagram and stuff. So seem like they're doing good.
Yeah. Of course, you guys got to do and I know this is an off-road show, but this is part of it. Like, fly fishing and all this fun stuff. And Danny was funny because Danny has an action suit, and I hopefully Danny still fits in the action suit.
Buddy.
Nice.
But I'm actually fitting in it better now. I've been working a little bit. I'm filling it out now. It's even better.
I need to work on mine. But so Danny, he showed up to this place, and this I'm saying this is $1 million resort. Like, this nicest place I've probably ever been. I get a single room with the electric windows that open up. You see the mountains. Nick gets like a 2-bedroom, kind of the similar situation. And Danny's like, yeah, I've got a 3-bedroom house basically. And we're like, what?
They were condos, Dave. They were legitimate, like really nice appointed condos. You could live there full time and not even blink an eye. Like, I think it was like $3,500, $4,000 a night or something like that is what they. When we looked them up.
I think it was more than that. My room, I think, was like $6,000 a night.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember it. It was ridiculous how much it was.
Yeah, I had like two. I mean, it was bigger than the house I just sold. It was probably 3,500 square feet. My little room, my little room, two big bedrooms, and then a massive just entertaining space, and then that huge wraparound porch.
Yeah. I bet you it would have been even more fun if we just got one, like the three of us got one room. You know, like they could have put all three of us in one room. Like there was enough.
I remember talking to Nissan about this, going, "Why didn't you just put us all in one house, basically?" And they're like, "Well, you know, this is." I was like, "Whatever, man. It's your money." But it would have been much more fun to definitely done that. But that trip was a blast. So Nick, what have you been up to, buddy? Besides making kids?
Working,
Dude,
making kids, hanging out.
Dave, there's not much else to do because his wife, I think we all can agree, his wife's a bombshell. There's not much else to do than make kids when you have a bombshell
went
wife.
Above his pay grade. Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah.
With 100%. All due respect, you have a bombshell wife, so just, I mean, I'm not, you know, you just go make kids. You do the work.
do your duty,
work, son.
Keep practicing, right?
Well, so Nick, what are you driving now, man?
I'm still in the Titan.
Really? Because now I remember you put a transmission in that thing.
Put a tranny in it. First tranny I ever blew.
Yeah.
Yep. Luckily, it was the car, the vehicle. But yeah, blew a tranny. That was at 72,000 miles. I now have about 150 on it. So I'm like right there at that threshold of, is this going to happen again or just ride it out? And at this point, I'm just going to ride it out.
Nice. I can't remember. Are those ZF transmissions? No, or was it ISN? Do you guys remember what kind of transmissions those things had?
The diesel got the ISN.
Yeah, I don't remember what the gas was. If it was a ZF or
couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
but you know, then I have my V8 4Runner. That's my little weekend warrior.
Did you ever get brakes on that thing?
Oh yeah, man! A whole new brake system.
Nice.
So I chased a squirrel around and put in a whole new ABS system just to find out that I had a seized caliper. So spent a lot of money to find that out. But hey, now I have a whole new brake system and she's working just fine. I do need to put a power steering pump in it. She's whining a little bit, but
so
like I said, it sits in the driveway.
Speaking of brakes, while we're on the subject, I still have the Red Dragon, my my 2014 Nissan Frontier, with all the fiberglass on it. It's on 35s. That is now my 17-year-old daughter's truck now.
Nice.
And she came home one day, and I mean, this is the classic story. She came home one day, and I'd known the brakes were starting to get a little bit close. You know, I was like, you know, they probably got about 30% left on them. I'll probably have to do those pretty soon. She came home one day and said, "Hey, Dad, the brakes are making a weird noise." It's like, okay. I figured maybe they're the little squeaker bars hitting and it started to squeak. I'm like, okay. And so like a week later, she goes, "Dad, the brakes are really bad." And I was like, okay, I'll drive it to work tomorrow and see what's going on. Well, I drive it to work the next day, and like the second and this is like I leave for work at like we'll say 5 a.m, and I leave my house, and you know I'm like listening to podcast or whatever, and I hit the first like stop sign to leave, and I just hear this, you know, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? And like so like a 30-minute drive to work, and I drove all the way to work, and I'm like scared for my life because it's just every time you touch the brakes, it's just madness. It sounds like orcs. It sounds like orcs were screwing underneath the truck every time you hit the brakes. So obviously I called my daughter. I was like, "Hey, when did this start sounding like this?" She's like, "Oh, a couple days ago." And I'm like, "All right." So I was kind of scared to drive it home, but I drove it home. You know, it still braked, but it wasn't great. I drove it home, get it home, and I look, and it was literally missing brake pads on the rear. Wow. Like I don't even know. I don't know how they disappeared. It was missing brake pads. The caliper was just rotor. And so I had her boyfriend change all the brakes on it. I've got all new brakes and the caliper. And I said, and her boyfriend wants to be a mechanic. So I said, hey, why don't you come over and change all the brakes on your daughter's car? So I sat there and
wait, daughter? Huh? On your daughter's car?
Yeah, my daughter's car. He wants to be a mechanic. It was like 95 degrees, and I was like, yeah, you gotta, I mean, I made sure that it was done correctly, and I talked him through it. But if he wants to date my daughter, he's got to figure out how to change brakes. So
that's right, minimum requirements.
But yeah, it was a hot mess.
Look at what I found, boys.
Oh, there we go.
That's us a few years ago.
Look at those classy gentlemen.
I know.
Man.
I know. Look at that.
Dave, how long have you rocked the Fu Man? What do they call it? Is it a Fu Manchu?
Soul Patch since 1995, Dan.
Dang, dude.
I know. There's people who were born, had kids, and maybe have grandkids. As long as I've had this, I cut it off once during that time period. I shaved it off and it just grew right back. It's the only facial hair I can grow, Dan. I mean, I don't have the sweet stash that Nick has, or the beard that maybe you can grow. I'm limping life through this little patch.
I love it. I was more curious than judgmental.
Well, no, that's fine. But what's funny was this is Danny's first. This is when you met Nick in person.
Yeah,
this was us at the airport.
We had been internet bros for like probably a year at least before this, right?
Yeah, this was about 30 pounds lighter, Dave. I got to get back to that.
That was like 10 pounds lighter, Dan.
Yeah, I think you were playing a lot of soccer then.
Yeah. But I mean, that hair, it's not looking the same these days. Let me tell you.
We're all getting there, buddy.
About today, it's very short right now. Let me tell you a story about today. So I'm in the military, right? I'm in the Air Force, and I have this young kid. I call him my work son. He's 21 years old, and we go to go get haircuts today. And I said to him, like, he sits down in the barber chair, and I said, "Hey, if you get a flat top, I'll get a flat top." And so sure enough, he was like, "Let's do this." And so it's not like the best flat top, but his is like. He's got more hair. I'm like starting to lose it a little bit, like an old man.
Notice I put your screen smaller, so
I appreciate it. I'm gonna put the hat back on, but yeah, we got matching flat tops today. So
nice, man, nice. And their government paid for flat tops.
Yeah, well, no, you still pay for haircuts.
Ah, damn it. Well,
they're cheap. Is a $10 flat top, and it feels like a $10 flat top.
Well, I've been to Bangkok. I understand. So Nick, I know you didn't want to be. I don't want to hold you up too long. So if you got to go, you can hang out as long as you want, buddy. So we had a blast on that trip because it was go take Titans, go do off-roading things. It was obviously for the off-road we did with the Nissan Titan. None of these press trips I go to are ever going to push you even to a quarter of what the truck's capable of. But most of these journalists have zero skills of actually driving off-road. So, they feel cool. And I'm like, cool. Can I just give me a press loan for a week so I can really go test it? But, Danny, that we made good friends with, what was the guy that was, with Prestige? I can't think of his name. I got him right here.
What was his name?
Running the show, man.
Oh man,
dude, I'm spaced on that one, but he was cool.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. I still deal with him.
Giovanni or something.
It'll pop up in my deal here. But
wait,
George?
Was that the guy that was like the most accommodating dude in the world?
Oh, yeah, that's his job. That's what his job. So it's a family that owns Prestige, and he's brothers of whatever.
I loved that guy.
Yeah, super super nice guy, man. But I still get to deal with him a little bit from these trips that we did.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, here I'll throw this up just to make people jealous. This was my bedroom. Of that. I know, man. But these, you can't see it over here, but these glasses opened up to an amazing thing. But I was getting to it earlier. Danny was in his action suit, and Danny trip me out. I was like, oh, you flew in on your action suit. You're going to be fun, Danny. And Dan didn't bring a bag with him. You were like, I brought this to wear the whole weekend. And then Danny, we got hammered at the bar. And I think because I'd had shoulder surgery, I think I went to bed earlier. Next thing I know, there's pictures of Dan in the pool. What do they call those pools with the glass?
Was it infinity pool?
Yeah. And Dan's in the infinity pool in the full suit, probably your tennis shoes as well.
Yeah, he had shoes on.
Yeah, me and Jim Bob got some hot tub time in the action suit.
Yeah, but no, that was a great weekend. Nissan needs to do some more trips like that, even though I think the brand right now is in a little trouble. Let's see, Dan. Let's see if you remember. Do you remember her?
Oh yeah, Georgia.
Oh yeah, Georgia. That's right.
Yeah, she was our first good contact with David Page's company.
Yeah.
Still good friends with her. But we've changed since. Like Jim Bob, you've gotten a Toyota now. Danny's rocking an F-150 now. But you're still doing off-road things, Danny. You're doing your race program.
Yeah. I finished the Mint. I finished a race for the first time in my career. I guess you could say it was an 8-year journey to finish.
Hey, a mile at a time. You got there, man.
I got there. I mean, it started. What was the first one? It was like 28 miles or something.
No, it was 58 miles.
58 miles was the first one, and then it was like 68 miles, and then I raced my own. That was the other Xterra that I raced in with
Dave Blakely.
Dave Blakely.
Yeah.
And then I raced my own. I think I got 108 miles, and then I raced my own, and I got like 40 miles or something like that. My first race.
Yeah. Well, you finished with that Toyota team. You were a co-pilot on that Toyota team.
Yeah. I finished. That was the Vegas to Reno.
Mm-hmm.
I finished. I was a co-pilot for a couple legs in that race. Then I started racing my own. I raced the California 300. I made it about I don't know if it was like 40 miles or something like that, and we went off the side of a mountain. And then I did the Mint, and I made it about 110. I don't remember what it was, 110 miles ish or something like that. And then I went back and raced the Mint again, and 11 hours straight, nonstop. Finished the Mint 400.
Oh, so you did see? I don't remember that. You did finish that race. Wow.
I finished that race. I got second in class, bro. Second place, bro.
Out of two trucks.
Yep.
Dan got second place, and he was the only guy in his class. A mouse beat, Dan.
I hope you stub your toe on a bunk bed soon.
I probably will later.
But yeah, out of here, boys. I'm gonna let y'all finish your show.
All right. Hey, we'll talk to you later, Jim.
Yeah, I love you, Jim Bob.
Love you, Nick. Love you, Dave.
Nick doesn't sound right, but I love you, Jim Bob.
You can call me whatever you want. Big Daddy.
Hey, kiss your wife on the mouth for me, would you?
All
right. Danny's had enough.
Yeah, I'm out
later, man.
See you guys.
Dan.
Is it too much? Dan?
A little thick there, Dan. A little thick, buddy. No, Jim has an awesome wife, man. He definitely shot above his level, though.
Dude, you know what sucks, Dave, is like I've met so many rad people. Like me and you have met so many rad people in our adventures, and recently I would say I haven't had as many of these the wild adventures that we had. We've had so many over the years.
Oh yeah.
And we've made so many friends, and it kind of bums me out a little bit that I've met all these super rad people that, like, if they lived close, I want to hang out with them all the time, and I don't get to. And I have this little bum out, you know. I'm like, I want to be like really good friends with Jim Bob.
Oh yeah.
But it's, we're across the entire freaking country. So, I might run into him again at some random point, but, unless I'm like really determined to, it might not happen for who knows, until we're all retired and too old to do anything that exciting.
I'll make that happen. I'm going to make a press trip happen with everybody.
I think this is the seed that we're planting in order to revive the adventure spirit that lives in all of us.
Oh yeah, and speaking of adventures,
that brought us together.
Yeah, and this was me at a Windrock. I decided to look. I'm in sandals, shorts, no F's given.
Oh,
Barely
I
have
remember
glasses on.
that. Yeah,
Cutting trucks apart.
Betty White.
Yeah.
Cutting up Betty White.
I bought that bumper, that Cal Mini bumper that's behind me there. I forgot that. I'm just randomly going through pictures here that I found. Me and you, like, in 17, I flew out to Las Vegas. Never been to Las Vegas before, and Danny picks me up at the airport. And we decide we hooked up with our buddies with Rogue Overland.
Oh.
And Dan, you talk about a hell of an adventure. I'm gonna bring up some photos here in just a second.
Dave, that was 2017.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
And speaking of Rogue Overland, if you want to hear more about the Mint 400 race, I think Rogue Overland's about. I did an interview with them right after the race, I believe. May have been right before, but I'm pretty sure it was right after. It's been a while now. I mean, this was back in March of 2024, and he's finally getting the episode out. But if you want to hear all the specifics and all the tales of the tape, if you will, hit up Rogue Overland on YouTube and check them out. They had a good we had a good podcast with them, or
nice.
YouTube
Can't
Live, whatever. That. Yeah, so
there's Danny's truck. This is what we were driving around in that's Black Bear Pass that we're on right there.
With Joey.
You know what sucks is, so I was in Vegas this year for SEMA. Joey was there with his. I didn't realize he was there with his Datsun.
Oh, with his new Datsun, yeah. His
and I hadn't got to really. He told me he was going to be there, but I didn't get to really see why he was going to be there. And you know how SEMA's just busy.
It's a madhouse.
Yeah, and I didn't realize till I got home. I was like, damn it, I was supposed to hook up with Joey, man, because Joey. We got to have Joey on here sometime, man. Joey's got great stories. Remember this lady in this FJ going down these passes with her camper trailer?
With her trailer. Yeah, that was always a little sketchy. There was a lot of 3-point sketchy turns.
Yeah, well, that one, I got out. I told Danny, because I had a little fear when you're not driving and you have control issues. I told Danny, I said, "Hey, let me get some pictures here of you." But mostly it was because I was like, "I'm not tumbling down that hill."
Yeah, I didn't buy the let me get pictures of you. I knew exactly why you were getting out of the truck.
But yeah, no, dude, I cannot wait to take Kelly and my daughter out here to see this stuff, man.
Yeah. So to be clear, that was Black Bear Pass. We went to Telluride. I think we ended near we ended up splitting off near Moab, but it was about a 4-day trip ish.
Yeah, it was every bit of 4 days, man. Yeah. Because we drove from Vegas to somewhere in Utah and stayed in some cow pasture. Yep. Froze our asses off. Danny, I had no gear with me other than what I could bring on an airplane. Danny goes, "I got you covered." But I smartly still brought those little hot hands and stuff because I was like, I'm used to working outside. I'm going to be warm. And Danny was freezing his bones off. You had your scarf thing wrapped around your head.
I think I had an emergency blanket. Like our tent was like frozen over in the morning.
Yeah.
When we got out of it, that first night was hell.
I think the worst night was right here when we were in Silverton.
Really?
Because we were at 10,000 feet there at this old campground.
No, that wasn't too bad, Dave, because we were both sleeping in the rooftop tent together, dude.
Well, yeah, I was Big Spoon though. Everybody, I was Big Spoon. Yeah, look, just being stupid, silly here, and just everywhere because we stayed. Let's see, we stayed in that pasture. We stayed here, then we stayed.
Yeah, there was that other place that was up kind of on a big mesa area.
Yeah, and then Danny. What's funny was, so we planned this trip with this crew, and we did a podcast in the middle of. I guarantee you, we're the only people to ever do a podcast in that area.
Yeah,
and it was an audio podcast. But
I think it was about probably 45 minutes from Moab.
Yeah, we were outside of it.
Out in the middle of nowhere, right outside of Moab.
Yeah. And Danny that night goes, "Hey, I gotta be at work." like in a day. And you live in above Los Angeles, and we're still in the middle of nowhere, Utah. And I was like, okay, because I think I got us rooms at someplace in Vegas. Cause I thought, well, you'll crash there, then just head home. And yeah, no, we hauled ass, and there's Danny's little rooftop tent. And me and you, 5 a.m., putting that tent back up. I'll never forget that in the middle of nowhere, Moab. You're like, dude, I want to get down to Moab. I got to get some coffee. Then let's go. And me and you were wiping our eyes, just tired as can be. And next thing you know, out in the middle, and you don't realize, because I live in the East Coast, we don't have a lot of critters that really you interact with. I mean, there's raccoons or whatever, but it's not like things that can hurt you. You don't deal with those things here.
Yeah.
Wolves, things like that. And we stop, you slam on the brakes of that truck and stop on this fire road. And there's a black bear, looks at us, stands. I'll never forget him standing up. I'm trying to get my camera phone to fumbling around, trying to get a picture of this. For one, not dawning on me that we're still kind of Colorado area. You know, there's bear running around there. It just never dawned on me that bear could be above Moab. And you looked at me and go, did you just see what I saw? And I'm like, yeah, we just saw a bear. And that bear stands up, takes off running.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the perfect way to end this trip. Like nobody will ever believe, because we didn't get a picture of it, that, you know, we were 100 yards from a black bear or something.
Yeah, he just popped out in front of the truck, and I remember slamming on the brakes, and he was just like, I'm out of here. And we're like, did that just happen?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. But and this is where your love of Sean, I think, started happening.
Well, this was maybe my second trip with Sean, I think. So I met Sean. I think I met Sean shortly before this on a road trip. So this was my second trip with Sean, but him, as well as a bunch of other Rogue Overland guys, I've become just salt of the earth friends with them. And they're like my pit crew now when I go out to Vegas and race.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Sean is like the coolest dude. But we're talking about the bearded guy on the screen right now. But I met him when I went on one of these road trips, and I popped out of a tent, and I was wearing my action suit, and I had cracked my door open. I was peeing, and he walked over, and he just started peeing right on the other side of the door, right next to me. And I looked over at him, and I said, we're going to be linked for life if this is the case. And sure enough, man, like me and him are like just amazing friends now. And I talk to him at least a few times a week.
Oh, nice.
But a lot of these guys on this trip, I still talk to. We're sharing stuff on, whether it's over a text or Instagram or whatever. We're still talking daily.
Yeah, remember there was a wedding proposal or a marriage proposal right here?
Was there?
Yeah, there was a couple.
That's right. Yeah. The military guy. I want to say he was like a drone pilot or something like that, or.
But yeah, this was and we'll have to bring Nick in sometime and break that trip down. Yeah, clearly Dave was pretty heavy there. Amazing trip. I like Rogue plans a great trips, man. Like they some of the best out there for doing this. Yeah, I don't know why I got a picture of your.
I still have that Jetboil, and it does not look as clean as that. And I just used it on a backpacking trip up into the Sierras.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I thought, it's probably time.
Yeah. So this is my mobile studio. This is the night we recorded.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, there's no electricity. We're running this stuff off of the car's batteries, and just very engineered way to do it. But what a great, we're here. And what was great about this? We just started passing a mic around and just telling stories and just having a blast, man.
It was such a good night. Such a good night.
Oh. Yeah. Of course, anytime we could get Danny went out with my off-road event here that I did. Danny was a crowd favorite because there's Danny who's pretty mellow right now, but then there's Party Danny who puts on the Danny, like his persona Danny. And when he hits these events, man, it's like just go, go, go. But the first time we brought Danny to Windrock was great. We I picked you up. We drove out there. Remember, Kevin Smith had all these battery issues. He didn't want to admit that he was having battery issues.
Yeah.
And we were like, Kevin, you need a new battery, dude.
I remember that.
Because he had like 1,400 things hooked up to this the poor battery didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
But I talked to Kevin the other day, by the way. But yeah, so we took all these back roads to Tennessee, and I know Danny's going, man, I just flew out here from California. These idiots, what are they doing? You know, I'm still a couple 100 miles away from where we're supposed to be. We changed the battery in that Walmart parking lot out. I could still not tell you where we were.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But we get there, and then there was the shack. Danny, somebody was like, Danny can stay in my little, what we call
rape shack, dude. That was the rape shack, dude.
Yeah, the rape cabin, which, you know, nobody was hurt. But it was this little redneck, no heat, no electricity, but it was like a bunk cabin like you would find if you were hiking out somewhere.
Yeah, it was like a step down from a hunting lodge or a hunting cabin out in the woods.
This is Danny's first.
It was a rape cabin, dude.
Yeah, of Tennessee off-roading is like, well, they throw me in this box.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. It was my first trip out to Tennessee. You gave me moonshine,
of course,
which was not disappointing. That was some legit moonshine, if I remember.
100%, right. Yes.
100% mason jar, Sharpie on the lid, like, hey, this is moonshine. And then I slept in a rape cabin. I didn't even get raped, dude. I mean, you kind of like let that general area. You're not really considered the South, are you?
Yeah, we're South.
Okay, well, you let the whole South down. Okay,
sorry, man.
I didn't even get raped.
Wasn't Kevin Smith in there with you?
Huh?
Wasn't Kevin Smith in the cabin with you or something?
I think I was alone in the cabin. Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I never got raped.
Those are the scars that you'll bear forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of not getting penetrated.
It was kind of a letdown. I had high expectations for that cabin.
We'll bring you back out to Tennessee. I'll make sure that happens.
The moonshine came through, the rapey vibes in the wilderness.
But once again, you going off-roading in Tennessee had no idea of the climate. I remember you were freezing your ass off. Yeah. We were by that little fire by the event area, and Danny was just freezing, man.
I don't do good in the cold.
Not at all.
If it's under 50, I got problems. If it's over 100, I'll figure it out. I'm fine. Over 100. Totally all day long. I'm a desert. I'm like a lizard. But drops below 50, I got to start putting on multiple layers upon layers.
Well, this was kind of my first wheeling with you. I think this was 14.
I think that's my second Moab trip.
This was my first Moab trip. And but it gets better here because then Danny's like it's a buck and bull.
I was riding that truck down that because that's kind of like a corkscrew and you get pretty articulated. Yeah. I rode that sumbie right all the way down.
Which I think you got in trouble for by the event people after that. They're like, hey, Dan, you're really
they're like, who's this guy? And I'm like, don't worry about it.
But you were leading this trail that day, if I remember right.
When you say leading, I mean, let's use that term very loosely.
This is when you're with Danny. This is when he's on the mic. You start getting stories, and you do not know where Danny's stories are going to end up.
I mean, Buckskin Betty. There's a lot of Rogue Overland people that heard about Buckskin Betty. A lot of tribes from Utah. I like to share some histories of things that occurred in the area when you're driving through different areas. There's a lot of lore that I like to share, and if you've experienced that lore, then lucky you.
Yeah, and here's where we took group photo of that group that was out there with us. This was not Metal Masher, Fins and Things, if I remember right.
All right, so that was two of my at the time. I had xterraperformance.com and I had expeditionoutfitters.com.
Yeah.
And that was like my deal. I was promoting those and I was leading trails. Oh man.
Yeah.
Take way back.
I know. Great. That was my first trip was with you in Moab, man.
Yeah.
So me and Sean Mack were riding together and just having just blast. And I'll be honest, so Moab is like Mecca, you know. Everybody thinks Moab, and there's the Rubicon, obviously, I think is probably, if you want some extreme wheeling, probably some better spots if you want to just the top tier in America. But for me, like I'd heard so many stories, Danny, about Moab, about, you know, this is it, the Red Rocks. And I'll never forget, I took this picture because I'm like, I'm touching this. Like I'm touching this sacred off-road ground. And like, I know it sounds stupid, but it meant so much to me to take this picture of my hand on the ground, just being excited that I'm here because I'm an East Coaster, man. Like Moab is 28 hours drive for me.
I think
It's not like a lot of people ask, "Hey, Dave, you know, you talk a lot of off-roading. Why are you not going to Moab?" No, I'm like, because it's 28 hours away. It's not, hey, Kelly, you want to go to Moab for the weekend, you know?
Yeah.
But when I got to, like, this was such a special trip for me, man. Of course, we got to share it together, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, and I think coming out to Tennessee and seeing what you were doing out there, it's apples and oranges to the nth degree. It's just completely different worlds of off-roading and topography, and you know, the foliage is different. You know, it's desert, you know, it's kind of deserty compared to, you know, in my opinion, almost rainforest. Coming from, as a SoCal guy, Tennessee is
we don't
like
have a lot of fires like you guys do.
Yeah, because it rains, which is a weird thing for me.
Yeah.
No, but and like I had wanted you to go out to Moab for. I think I had been to. Do you think I had been to two Windrod?
Yeah. Well,
before you got out to Moab.
I think you did one. I think it was you did one, then I did one, and then your company was kicking off. Your off-road parts company was kicking off, and then you started doing more. But do you remember that? Do you remember this guy?
Oh,
Rick Vogan.
Rick, that's right.
Yeah, I'm curious. I hadn't heard from Rick in a long time.
Yeah, I gotta look him up. I gotta. Yeah, that guy. I like that guy. He liked me a lot too. Him and his wife were super cool.
Rick and his wife were very interesting people.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many interesting people. There was interesting people, and then there was like and then there was kind of like the OGs that were like my best friends out there. You know, you'd see them once or twice a year. Car Jeep, Ryan.
I remember I took Kelly out. So I did that Moab by myself, and then I brought Kelly out the next year. And I'm showing Kelly, and I told her when I drove to Moab, I flew into Grand Junction.
Yeah.
And drove and from Grand Junction, which is super tan desert, to like it just like somebody with a brush painted red. I remember calling Kelly going, "Oh my God, this is like, you're not gonna believe this." So I brought her out the next year. And I'll never forget, you must have finished up a trail with Car Jeep, and you guys are in this hot tub out, and it's a pool hot tub thing. And this was the first time I knew Car Jeep, but it was my first time of like getting to meet Car Jeep, and the most positive person I've ever met in my life. And Kelly had no idea who any of these people were and was blown away by it, like Car Jeep, and just how like he was so welcoming and just over the top and just having a blast, man.
He really is. He's just like the nicest fun. And he was at the very first one that the first Moab event that I went to, and he was like our neighbor. And I want to say at that first one that I ever went to, I think he brought a girl, and he took the girl on his first. He took the girl. Oh, the skull. He took the girl on the first like run, and she didn't want to go out the entire time. The rest of the time they were there, and so like we were all hanging out, and she would just never come out of her room or something. I don't remember what it was, but she was not having it. But
Danny, what is the history with the skull here, man? Can you for those that don't know, this event was called Gone Moab. It was a Nissan. You know, like there's Easter Jeep Safari. It was their take on that for the Nissan crew. And this skull used to have vodka in it. It was some whatever vodka.
No,
and
it was oh yeah.
Well,
the skull originally comes vodka.
Yeah, like, and they pour that shit out and put Tuaca in it.
Tuaca, that's what it is. Terrible drink.
But so Sean Mack here.
I effing hate it.
Yeah, kept trying anything he could get Danny to drink Tawaka because Danny hated it so much. But you figured by the end of the night, Danny started drinking. Like you were going to get Danny to start drinking some Tawaka.
I mean, I tipped the school many a times, but I didn't like it.
But for like Sean, I know the fun of it was, how long will it take till I can get Danny to actually start drinking? I mean, that was there was probably honestly bets on that, Danny, of like at what point in the night will Danny start drinking?
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of, I mean, and the shenanigans that ensued from all of that.
Yeah,
I mean, the pranks that you know, the zip ties on drive shafts, and I think one year we wired, I think it was Joey. I think we wired Joey's horn to go off every time he backed that. He put it in reverse.
That was my year. No, that was that
his
year.
Brake lights.
That was that year because I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, every time he hit the brakes, is like a train horn would go, or no, a Wooga horn would go off.
Yeah.
So they wired in a Wooga horn every time he hit the brakes. Shoot, oh, so many pranks. You know, just cellophane, just wrapping people's truck with cellophane, and
this was me growing into Moab. I knew instantly, it's like, well, you're gonna feel pain this weekend.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, and so it was like
is a rite of passage.
They hand that to you.
It doesn't make it taste better.
No,
it's just a rite of passage to hit the Tawaka, and that was an old thing from the
Kevin
original
and,
guys. Kevin and Josh had originally started it. You know, whatever it was, 2006 or something.
Yeah,
like
and Sean
that.
Mack was going to keep that going. Like here, look, he's handed you going to look at his eyes. Like you're going to take this, man.
The dude in yellow shirt, I'm not sure who that is, but you can already see that he's like, I don't really want to do that. And Sean's just looking at him like, you have to.
Yeah, there's no choice.
There's two choices. Do it or do it. Those are the choices.
Yeah. What was some of your favorite things of going in Moab, man? It don't have to be with any particular brand. What is like for Moab? What does Moab mean to you, I guess?
Moab, I think the biggest thing is like every time I went, I'd meet someone new that I just became like best friends with over, you know, a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I think on the Nissan Nation podcast when we did, I shared the story probably 3 or 4 times and maybe once or twice on All Terrain Nation or whatever. But we call it the Golden Sleepover Run.
Oh, but I was there for that.
Yeah, it was.
I was at the cabin. That was that year. That was 14.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was this mind-blowing off-road thing where it was raining in the middle of the night, and we drove up and spent the night on the top of this mountain that you shouldn't be driving at night, and you know, with some of the people that I
was that Golden Arch or what is that? Golden Spider.
It was Poison Spider, which connects to Gold Bar Rim. Okay. I think. They call it the trifecta. So I think there's 3 trails that you can connect, but we drove up that in the night in the rain. It was me, Joey, and Nick. And we were bringing pizza to these guys that were having to stay overnight because they had blown all their axle shafts and drive shift out of their truck at the top.
That's right. Because they started doing it reverse. They only had the front and they blew those CVs.
They were trying to get the truck out of that trail from a day's worth of wheeling, but that trip was just super epic. Carl Suiting, Joey bringing his mom out one year, and us all, you know, having dinner and going wheeling with Joey's mom. I've been to Moab with Joey a few times. Joey Parent, he was you were talking about him going to SEMA. Yeah, he has a really, really like a ground up resto Datsun truck that it's I think he has a is it an SR20 turbo in it. It's a street truck. I think has to have like 800 horsepower or something like that. But he's always been kind of a Nissan guy. But all these guys, it's just, you know, you wheel all day and you party all evening, and then, you know, it's right back out at the next day, and you spend a lot of time with just a lot of people that are just having a good time. And you know, like, you meet like-minded people that enjoy each other's company, and it's There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Well, here's you leading us on. This is the horseshoe.
Yes. I remember you. I specifically remember you. Was Kelly there at this trip?
Yes. So this was 2015. So 15 is when this is when the Golden Sleepover happened, because we did a podcast that the next day in the condo. Me, you, Meisner, and all of them were doing it. And I don't know if this was the next day or whatever, but you were leading. What is this, 7 Mile Rim? I think
so. Yeah, that sounds right. It might be something different, but I think it's 7 Mile Rim.
But so what's this? This doesn't look like anything really. The horseshoe right here.
The biggest thing is where you see the dark tracks across that. It's actually pretty steep, and you have to drive across it sideways, which gives you it's got a very kind of sketchy rollover feel to it. And I remember you and Kelly were driving in.
We were in this.
Yes, you were in the Insane Fab truck, which it's a little rolly.
No sway bars at all. And Corey didn't tell me this. He threw me the keys. I flew into Denver. He throws me the keys to this, and he said, "Hey, go take it to Moab."
Yeah.
And and because he was supposed to have an Xterra for me ready to go, and something, I don't know what happened, but yeah. So he's like, just take the Insane Fabric, and didn't tell me this. But I knew by this point of like no sway bars. But so Kelly had first time in Moab. We were talking. I could feel her anxiety kicking in, because this doesn't look like it. But like Danny said, you're leaning pretty good, and if you don't have sway bars on, you definitely feel leaning more. Leany.
Yeah.
And I look over to Kelly as Danny's kind of where you're at in that picture, and I'm trying to calm her. She wasn't like getting crazy, but I could just feel, knowing her, I could feel her anxiety. I'm trying to just calm her a little bit, and I lost the path. And I remember just yelling to Danny, like, Danny, I have no effing, I don't know where I'm going. Like, you need to get over here and help us.
I remember specifically spotting you on that, and I remember seeing some saucers for eyes, because you guys were just kind of and that's the thing, is you go up and you kind of have to just follow your spotter on that path, because you can't really see it, and you're turning left because that's what you have to do, but it doesn't feel right. And I don't want to say it's not dangerous, but it's not as dangerous as other things. And so you just kind of have to trust your spotter.
Well, and there's that bowl
in that scenario. Yeah,
you can't tell there's a bowl there, so it looks like when you're leaning, it's extra
Yeah, it's dangerous.
But I don't know if anybody has ever heard of rolling there.
Yeah, you just have to trust your spotter and trust what you're doing. And was that your first time in Moab? I can't remember.
No, that was my second year.
Okay, yeah, but it was
first year driving.
Kelly. First time Kelly went there.
Yes.
And so, things in Moab, a lot of things you don't think you can do, and it's just a lot of, you just have to kind of put your trust in the people that are leading you a little bit on a lot of stuff. And I had been there a couple of years before, I think that was probably my third year. And I'm pretty sure I was leading that trail. But you have to kind of trust the people. And I remember seeing some saucer eyes, and then I was just like, you got it, keep on going. And and as soon as you kind of realize we're just gonna get through this, you're fine. Yeah. But there's definitely that. I remember that specific spot. It's sketchy. When you're
kind of
driving,
kind of a boring trail till you get to here.
Yeah.
And then once you get to here, they have the little there's the little playground where you can do the steps right past this.
Yeah.
And then you do a bunch of desert running out, which was kind of fun. But now, having no experience in Moab at the time of driving, that made a little bit of a difference as well.
Yeah.
But now if I took the Raptor out there now, this wouldn't bother me. This is the trail that Kelly still says she would probably never do again. And now I think
I believe it. I remember the faces in that car when I saw that, because she was on the brink of a panic attack.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, and I mean, Kelly didn't know me as well.
Right.
I mean, she had met me once or twice, and she had just, she just got out to Moab, and she still wrapping her head around what Moab was all about, and so she was kind of having to put a lot of blind faith in me and you, and
and
really,
still somewhat, honestly, somewhat new to wheeling. She would only been driving maybe off road for about a year at that point.
And Dave, I mean, to Kelly's credit, me, you, that scenario, it doesn't inspire the most trust.
No, not at all. Yeah, no, not at all. Because I'm that kind of like, so I'm cautious, but I will do things like, and I'm not like freaky, like I'm just a cautious person.
Yeah,
And then my buddy
I'm
Luke
not.
with Lifestyle Off Road, like he's like, whatever, like, hey, let's just go
Send
do
it.
this.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more me.
So yeah. So with all of us wheeling together and stuff, like I'm like, I know, okay, if Luke's just being stupid or not, or Danny's just like, yeah, let's just go do this. Like, I'll follow you guys. I'm not going to be the guy leading the way.
I hadn't built up the trust with Kelly at that point.
No, not at all.
Where she would be as comfortable as I think she would probably trust me more at this point in time, and probably the same with you at the time.
Oh yeah, no, I trusted you then,
time.
but I'd lost my way on that particular spot and couldn't see and just didn't know the trail. So it just, and we were right at that where it drops back in. So you go up, there's a little bump, and then you drop back in, and I couldn't see the path to where you turn, and that's what was messing me up.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, you know, you live and learn. But no, Moab's such a special place, Danny, and it's one of those places that I keep wanting to get my friends like you together and just everybody meet up. You know, not
just do it just like a bro trip, right?
Yes, 100%. Just families getting together, whatever. Just you know, just meeting up and just having some fun.
Yeah, we should have an anniversary trip.
Well, there was rumors of people trying to do that this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that event got killed. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
So
did I not get a preliminary invite to the anniversary?
No, they're just talking on Facebook about it.
I didn't even see it.
Well, you're never on Facebook anymore, man.
I am. I'm a lurker. I'm a lurker these days.
You got to jump in, bro.
I know.
So after all of this stuff, Danny, somehow I bought the thing that you despise the most. Jeep. Danny is not a Jeep guy by any means. Like, I think you respect Jeeps for what they've done for the community, but you're not. I remember you working on one time going, Dave, this is the cheapest pile of shit I've ever seen in my life. And so when the pandemic hit, I had a Bronco on order, and I just started this outlet. And at the time, Danny was going to be with me, but Danny, you had a little boy. Like, I knew Danny didn't have time to kind of continue on with this really. And so I said, Danny, I'm going to do this on my own. We'll still do the Nissan thing or whatever. And that just ended up fading away. But so I bought a Jeep, and we've never really talked about me buying a Jeep. I got a Gladiator, Dan, and I have to say, I really liked that thing. Now, Kelly didn't. She hated driving this thing. But
she's the smarter of the two, and that's why that works out. I mean, it's very clear how that works out.
Yeah, well, she is the brains of the family, no doubt. But what is your like Gladiators? I have not talked to you ever, I don't think, about me buying a Gladiator.
Well, I think at the tail end we talked a bit about it, but I mean, I think they have their place, and if you don't want to drive a long distance in one to go off-roading, it's a perfectly fine vehicle for that scenario. Mm-hmm. There's a reason you can get a fully loaded Gladiator for dirt cheap these days. Is because
definitely, yeah.
It's because they're not, you know, I don't know. I've just never.
But so mid-sized truck like this, you can take the roof doors off. Never appealing.
No,
because you're not a door guy. Like, you've always told me, sunroofs in California, no go.
I mean, don't need the sun in my head. I hate sunroofs. You get a sunburn.
Right. So I guess the idea of taking the top off a truck is no bueno to you, right?
No. I don't know. They've never Jeep's design and it's weird because I'm a big off-road guy, you know, like I that's all I love. But I've never really liked Jeeps, and I think part of it is all the Jeep guys maybe it's like this little weird counterculture thing. All the Jeep guys just seem like they like, oh, I can do it and you can't. And
Yeah.
I've
There's a
always
little
wanted to,
douchiness to that, definitely.
and I've always wanted to be able to do, like I've always done most of the things the Jeep guys have done in the equivalent truck, we'll say.
Yep. Jim Bob
You know what
says
I'm saying?
you can drive his 4Runner.
And on top of that, yeah. I bet you that V8 4Runner got it. He probably cooks decently.
Probably fun. He seems to have fun with it.
But on top of it, I've always been my roots are bro roots in Southern California, and I've always liked go fast desert, and Jeeps are not go fast, especially the short Jeeps. Like a standard Jeep, go fast Jeeps. You'll flip that thing into its freaking lid in a second if you try and go too fast in a short Jeep. The Gladiator, it's longer. It can do things, and not to say you can't build them up decently, but never been a straight axle front, straight front axle guy. It's just,
and he's independent from the beginning, huh?
Yeah, I've always been a desert guy, and so I've always gravitated towards the desert stuff, and so it's just never been in my wheelhouse, and so therefore I have to hate on them.
Well, do you remember this rig?
Is that Stan?
Yeah, no. This was my truck. This was after I sold it. It came back to the last Windrock.
No way.
Yeah, they drove it there and I had the big desert running fenders on it and kind of broed it out a little bit. But
I didn't know it got finished.
Yeah, well, I finished it and I brought it to an event. I don't think you were ever there when I brought it to an event.
I think you brought it to the event, but it was like 2-wheel drive or something.
Well, no, I wheeled it one year. The year you didn't show up, it was just a torrential downpour, and you've seen the hills of Windrock. Like, imagine just like, water flooding down those hills all day. Like, it was the worst experience I've ever had in a vehicle that was not finished.
Didn't I wheel? Was it Stan that I wheeled?
You did. So your first time at Windrock,
tie rods a little bit.
Oh, 100%. Well, the ball joints got loose, but no, 100%. Danny
ball joints got real loose.
That same trip that we were talking about of Danny, us helping Kevin Smith fix his vehicle, back when this was still independent front suspension, I told Dan we did Trail 22. I lost my wallet on that, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go back and find my wallet. Me and Luke did. But Danny was there, and I said, "Hey, you want to drive?" "Yeah, I want to drive." And Danny thought it was like desert running as fast as you can hit these trails.
I had never wheeled on slippery rocks.
Well, they say Moab slick rock, and you're like, you don't know slick rock.
That's a different kind of slick rock. When they say Moab slick rock, they mean grippy.
Yes.
Which doesn't really make sense. But yeah, Tennessee is slippery rocks, which it might as well have snot on every single rock out there.
Yes.
And yeah, so I was banging that thing around. And I mean, to be fair, those things, ball joints and steering, were left a lot to be desired. And in stock form. I mean, first gens are pretty stout. They're not too bad. They're pretty good for what they are. But once you start banging on them, especially, I think Stan had a lot of miles on them, right?
Oh yeah, when I got it, it was right at around 200,000 miles. When I got it,
not a spring chicken, and every one of those ball joints was not ready to party.
No. So I remember I bought it, and we'll get into this down the road. We'll get into deeper of this, but I bought this vehicle. So I had a white one, and through the economy collapse, I lost that one. I stupidly for about 4 months owned a Jeep YJ. And everybody told me not to do it. And I did it anyways. I wanted to be part of the cool kids club. Paid for that. That thing was a hunk of shit. So I bought this, and I'll never forget the day I bought this. I found it on Craigslist, and I'd seen it for a while. And the guy reposted the list, and he's like, "I need it gone this weekend." I'm like, "Well, that's the dumbest thing you ever post. Yeah. Don't put your price on there and go, 'I need it gone this weekend,' because I lowballed the
piss.
Yeah. And the guy was like, "Cool." And so I met him. Paid him cash for it, met him on the side of an interstate. Seriously, like the most redneck dumb thing ever. He goes, "So what are you going to do with it?" And Danny, and I've already started parting with it here, but it was showroom new. Even though it had a lot of high miles on it,
it was still super fresh. Yeah.
And he goes, "What are you gonna do with it?" I said, "I'm gonna make it a monster truck." And he goes, "No, really?" And because he had just traded this in, or he just bought a new Jeep, I think probably a JK at the time when they were coming out. And he goes, "No, really?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna turn it into some monstrosity of,
Yeah.
that it shouldn't be." But no, this poor rig, man. I abused
I
this poor
remember
thing.
seeing all those pictures on, was it Club Xterra forum?
Yeah, and then my
And
extermination.
that's how we ended up. Yeah, it started on Club Xterra, and then you started your own forum with Xterra Nation.
Yeah.
And I literally remember seeing all these pictures, and I had just bought in 2004, like just freshly bought, and I was watching that, and that's basically how we ended up meeting, is
Oh, yeah.
through the forums. And oh, that picture is iconic
No, this
to me.
I love this picture, man. I really do miss the Gen 1 Xterra. I would own one again in a heartbeat.
Really?
Oh, 100%. It was low, no power. It's like a lot of like the Range Rover stuff.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
just
get it.
it's a love. You love it for what it is.
Yeah.
Would I've
Well,
liked to had
I never had that low power one. I had that
you had
supercharger.
you had like a Gen 1.5 with the did you have a supercharger on yours?
Yeah, I had the supercharged one.
Okay. But no, I mean, even that one, I would own that one. But this here's Kelly's first time actually wheeling,
Yeah.
driving wheeling. And this is iconic because I always talk to people about this. And I was happy with the truck here. I don't know why
Yeah.
I needed to rip the front end out, dude. That big dick syndrome of like, oh,
Yeah.
solid axle. I've got to do that too.
Yeah.
I was
Everybody's doing it.
completely happy with this truck's on 33s. Perfect for this truck. But I got Kelly on this trip. This is Trail 16 in Windrock. And I kept saying, "Hey, just move it forward for me. I'm guiding these trails. I'm leading people. Just keep
Right.
purposely wanting her to drive."
Yeah.
Because I was like, the wallet will open up. Like she'll go, "Okay, well, yeah, we do need these things." No, the wrong thing happened. She goes, "I need my own." And I was like, "You're pulling money away from my build for your own." It backfired.
Yeah.
I mean, other than she just to this day, she's a better driver than I am now. And I say it and I mean it. Like she's a 100% better driver than I am. But she would have never done it had it not meeting characters like Danny and just all the stupid fun we had that she just wanted to be a part of. And once she got into it, it was like, she's not getting out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. That
But
happens.
but then I ruined the poor vehicle. I spray painted it ugly. And there's Kelly. That's Kelly's Xterra there. She
Yeah.
ended up buying. But and there's the downfall of that poor truck.
Yeah.
Yep. Dana 44 killed it. Danny, any regrets you have on any of those Nissan Xterras and stuff you had?
I regret putting a smaller pulley on the on my supercharged one. I put a smaller pulley on it
Mhm.
to bump the boost, but I did nothing to change the air fuel mixture. And so I think it kind of ran a little crappy after I did that. I think it was running super lean and probably got a knock, and I sold it. But so I wish I never did that. Wish I kept that portion of it stock. Um, I mean, I regret running over an old lady's truck, but if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have a race truck today.
Yeah, but even back then, Danny talked about wanting to do racing. Like that
Yeah,
was his
I've wanted
deal.
to race since 2000. But you know what? I don't really I don't regret anything,
Yeah.
because whether we're good, bad, or indifferent, it's crazy to go through my phone and see, and every time I go through my phone's pictures, you start
Mhm.
really going back. The adventures and the friends I made is worth its weight in gold. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
100%.
yeah, life gets crazy, and and on top of it, I've taken my kids out on adventures through Death Valley. Both my daughters, I've taken them through Death Valley 3 or 4 times. Um, me and my wife going on adventures through um, all kinds of crazy places.
Danny's wife's a trooper, by the way.
Yeah, no, she's the coolest in the world. Um, but whether it's Colorado or Moab or whatever, I I've I if I die tomorrow, I'd be a happy. I feel like I've already done everything that I've wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won't say that. There's all kinds of things I still want to do, but I've done so much up to this point that if I die tomorrow, I could say, man, I had a good ass
Yeah.
run. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
Oh, 100%.
I've met the best people ever. I've had so many adventures that like some people wish they had the adventures and met the people that I've had adventures with and
Yeah.
made friends with. And so I'm just like ridiculously blessed in that manner. However, I want to have more adventures. You know, my kids are starting to get older now. Like I know Dave, I know where you're at, buddy. You're about to run that last one out of here, out of
Oh,
town sometime soon.
she's 14, and I'm like, please get to college.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I got an 8-year-old, but and then I have a 15 and 17-year-old. So the two olders are, and the 8-year-old's a boy, so he'll probably get out quicker than the girls will. But
Yeah.
but you know, like I want to take him on some adventures that my girls were able to do when they were that age.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of spinning the wheel back up to get in that mode. Like I want to go get into some stuff again because man, we had some good times and we did some fun stuff, and
Oh,
there's
100%.
no point in stopping that, you know.
Well, it's time to kick them back in gear, and I think that's what this podcast will be about. I don't know if this is what we're going to end up calling this podcast, but East Meets West, because I think it's fun. It's a funny title to the show because I'm East Coast, you're West Coast, and we have complete different views of off-roading.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And over the next couple shows, you're going to see we'll bring in some people that we've known. There's some things that since Danny's been in the industry, I want to talk about. There's electric off-roading now, which is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious Danny's take down the road on that. And then, you know, I somehow I'm a Bronco guy now, Dan. So we're gonna have to examine that at some point.
I love Broncos. It's way better than being a Jeep guy.
Oh no, 100%. They drive straight. You don't have to have both hands on the steering wheel and pray to Jesus, you know?
Yeah. No, but for anybody that may watch this, that's a Jeep guy. I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I don't dislike your truck. I just have a healthy
Disdain.
hatred. No, hatred's too strong a word. Rivalry. I have a healthy rivalry with Jeep guys, and I have a lot of friends that are Jeep guys, and we just have a good spat. We laugh, we drink a beer, we sit around a campfire, and we have a good time.
Well, there you go. So next time, I've got to talk to. I was in California and didn't get to see Danny last year, and I was in Johnson Valley.
I know.
Danny, so we got things to talk about down the road.
Yeah, which I'm probably going to Johnson Valley here in the next month.
Dude, my plan was to be at King of Hammers, and I don't think it's going to happen. So
yeah, it's a hard time of the year to do it. I will say that.
Yeah, well, that and it's cold. I don't want to go out to that area when it's cold. I didn't mind it when I was in Palm Springs. I was in Palm Springs last year. It was 110 degrees, but I'll still take that over the desert 40 degrees any day. But yeah, no, we have a lot of things to talk about, guys. This is just getting started. If you're just finding us, I'm Dave. I'm an auto journalist. Danny's an adventurer over there and a military man. And we have unique ways we look at things. It may not be your way, but stick around, have some fun with us. Danny, damn it, it was good, man. 2015 is when we started doing this.
Yeah.
I'd never forget. It was the Super Bowl. I predicted that Super Bowl. It was Atlanta versus New England. I predicted the score. Stupid, because we'd done something stupid on that.
Yeah, should have put money on it.
100%. Those shows, most of them are still on this. So if you guys ever want to see what we used to look like, a little less wrinkly. Well, Danny's not wrinkly at all, but me less wrinkly. You can hear some of that. And there's some visual.
McCrow's speech from laughing too much. That's what it is.
Yeah. But definitely check it out. Hit the subscribe button for us. If you do that, the better this channel does, the more adventures that me and Danny can go do. So, and that's the goal of this channel is I want to go out, get with my buddies again, go off-roading and just have a blast. whether I be flying into LA or send Danny to Nashville and we just go do something stupid. Remember, I used to tell you and Holden, I just want to meet in the middle of America, rent a car, and just go do something completely stupid.
Yeah, we have some bucket list items that we have not checked. I will say I have some bucket list items for me and Dave that I have not checked. So that, you know, my racing, you know, I'd love to bring some of that racing stuff. So I think there's a lot of fun that we're still going to have, and rekindling this this adventure life is pretty awesome.
Well, so as I used to say, what is going on Nissan Nation, but what is going on All Terrain Nation from around the globe, or however I used to say it, to my driveway to yours, from Danny East, West Coast. It's been your All Terrain Nation off-road. And what are we, Danny? Do you remember this? Peace, everybody. Love y'all.